What's up, page turners? Welcome to Writers with Purpose. I'm your host, Mel V's from Written Words Publishing. At Written Words Publishing, we envision a world where every storyteller, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to share their voice, shape narratives, and impact the world through the written word. Okay, so page turners, if you value powerful storytelling, which I know you do because you are here watching with us today, do me a favor and like this video, follow this channel, subscribe to this channel, share this podcast, okay? Because I'm certain that whatever we discuss today, somebody you know will benefit from the conversation, okay? Because today we have a author who is the author of a sci-fi thriller, okay? And I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again. I love sci-fi. I don't know why, but I do. And thriller, creepy, fighting, all of that stuff in space, you know, the lifesavers and all of that stuff. Yeah, the aliens and the creatures. I don't know what it is, but I like it. So if you like that stuff, I believe that you are going to enjoy the conversation that we are going to have today, because today we are going to discuss Devour by Mandie Dufour. Lord, I pray I said your name right, Mandie. I meant to ask you if I was pronouncing it correctly. We'll find out in a second. Devour is a gripping sci-fi thriller set against the backdrop of a dying planet and the terrifying unknown of deep space. What starts as a mission to recover life-saving technology quickly spirals into a fight for survival filled with mystery, tension, and horrors beyond imagination. Let's welcome Mandie Dufour to the stage today.
Hello, hi.
Hello, Mandie. Did I say your name right?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
That's awesome. Well, welcome to Writers with Purpose. Tell us something about yourself, Mandie.
Well, I'm an author from Atlantic Canada, specifically New Brunswick, and so I've been writing kind of my whole life, one way or another. So this is my debut novel. So this is my first published work.
Awesome. Your debut novel. Great. So tell us what was your purpose for writing Devour?
I wrote Devour because I wanted to really explore kind of the existential dread of space. And I haven't really ever written about space before. And my partner, my wife, really likes space stories. So I kind of wrote it for her, really.
That's cool. Well, how did you come up with the characters and the storyline and everything? What made you decide that, like, did you have to like build a world, or like what did you know
definitely.
about space?
Yeah, so it's kind of started, we were watching Stargate Atlantis, and so if anyone's familiar with that show, there's like these creatures called the Wraiths, and they have these ships that are like made of organic material. And so I just thought it would be super interesting and scary if there was a ship that was organic that ate people, like a pitcher plant kind of thing. So we got started like talking about it, and and both of us talking to each other, and it kind of grew and grew and grew. And at the time, I was really active on Wattpad, and so Wattpad does a competition every year called the Open Novella Contest, and so that's prompt based. And so I chose some of those prompts that I thought could align with the concept that I had, and so I just was writing and writing and writing. And it got honorable mention in that contest, and so that was really fun. And then I decided to try and get it published. And so originally it was only like 20,000 words or so, or 25 or 30 or so. And when I got it developmentally edited, it kind of grew even more into like a 50,000 word like full novel.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, tell us something about the main character in your book.
Yeah, so the main character is Valya. So she's a mechanic and she lives on a desert planet and they're inside a dome and they're running out of water because it's kind of finite. And her and her brother and some other people on the planet, like people start evacuating, because they're like, oh my gosh, we're running out of water. So they're losing hope that there'll be a solution. But Valya and her brother are very much like, no, we can figure this out, or we trust that this will get figured out. And so Valya is very committed to trying to find a solution. And so as soon as she gets the opportunity to go into space with this crew, she jumps on it. She's very enthusiastic.
Okay, so is when they go into space is when they end up in that ship that is
Yeah.
devouring people.
Yeah, not to be too much of a spoiler, I suppose, but yeah, because everything starts escalating because some of the themes is that Valya has lived in this dome, her whole life that has been relatively peaceful. A lot of their main problems has just been out of like the lack of resources. So their dome was kind of a hub of innovation and things like that. But as their resources have been dying down, they've kind of become a sort of backwater town in a sort of sense. So she's been really insulated her whole life. And so she doesn't always understand that the rest of the galaxy is not so kind or friendly. And so as she enters space and goes to other planets, she starts to see like just how different things are. So she has a little bit of culture shock in a lot of ways she has to contend with, and she learns a lot about herself and other people and the galaxy at large, I suppose.
That's cool. So you had to put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into the plots and the twists
Yeah.
and characters and all of that. Now I love your cover, like I mentioned before, it's giving super creepy vibes. So what about writing your story made you feel creepy? Because I know as an author,
Yeah.
want the reader to feel what you're writing, you gotta feel
Yeah.
it when you're writing it. If you want
Absolutely.
them to
Yeah.
feel it when they're reading it. So yeah, what was the most creepiest thing that you experienced? Like really had to feel it while you were writing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think honestly, like the inherent like existential dread of deep space, like that has always been something that has really scared me. Like I'm a big horror lover, but I don't often get scared by horror. But I find just the concept of space, like if something happens out there, like nobody can save you. Like it's very terrifying. And so I thought I would kind of, bring in that feeling, and make it very claustrophobic, and very visceral. Like I'm a big lover of body horror, so I really wanted to like harness that as well and be like, oh, that's so creepy, that's so gross, like in all those ways that horror lovers like myself enjoy, but just kind of harness that feeling of inescapable dread.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned horror lovers. Are the horror
Yeah.
lovers, is that who you wrote this book for? Are those the only group that you think would absolutely love this book?
Yeah, I also think people that love space adventures too, because there's kind of as creepy and scary as it gets towards the late middle to end. I think anyone that loves like a really sincere sort of like space adventure, like would probably enjoy this as well because it kind of sneaks in. Like I see it in little elements of things, but a lot of it is kind of a little bit lighthearted to a certain extent before the horror creeps in.
Okay, so is it kind of like one of those kind of reads where everything is just going along and then all of a sudden, bam, like whoa,
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting
yeah.
that. Is that what your reader is going to get out of your book?
I think so, yeah. And then kind of in hindsight, you'll be like, oh, that was all along, like that was coming kind of all along. Because there's some conflict, with space pirates and stuff like that too, where like Valya has to contend with the, you know, violence, that just happens. That wasn't a thing in her dome, people fighting each other, and there wasn't pirates attacking her dome, but that's a reality for a lot of people on other planets, that pirates are a big threat to her. So she has to contend with these pirates before they even get to the main to the ship. And so ideally it's something that people will like after they finished it be like, oh, no, this was seeded throughout the whole story. Like it'll feel like a gut punch at the start, but then in retrospect, I think it'll kind of be like, no, that was always there.
Weave them together. Yeah. Well, what do you think was the hardest part about writing, a novel, especially if it started out as a novella and you ended up having to expand it to a full-blown novel? What was the hardest part for you in that writing process?
Yeah, I think honestly, Valya was kind of a hard character sometimes. She's a very cerebral person. And so oftentimes I write character first and then the plot develops around the character. But in this instance, I had such a central concept that I was like, I need to develop a character that would actually do this, And so trying to get more into Valya's head, I found her tricky, for lack of a better word, to communicate with, where it's like, okay, Valya, tell me what you want, and try to, because a lot of the story is her even coming to understand what it is that she wants, because there's a like sort of a romantic subplot as well. So trying to get into her head and get her to acknowledge her feelings because she's so like in her head all the time.
Well,
Yeah.
as an author, I totally understand what you mean. Some of the page turners out there who aren't writers and may just be readers may not understand how deep it is, how all of those characters literally live in your head when you're trying to get in their head, and it's all in your head.
Exactly.
It's a whole
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, and I always like to prioritize my characters in that way, right? Like they're people, so I want to make it so that it's not like, oh, she's doing this so that the plot happens. It's like it's got to come from like, no, I believe that Valya is this person and this person would respond in this way to this whatever's happening, so I always want to be true to my character even when terrible things are happening to them. It's still going to be like, no, you would choose, you would go on this path, you would go on this mission. You're that kind of person that would say yes to a space adventure.
Well, sounds like Valia is the character that everybody is going to love. Who's the character that everybody is going to hate in your story? It's always got to be one.
I think probably Wilson.
Mm.
He comes
What?
up a little bit later, or they come up a little bit later on. I don't think people are going to like Wilson very much. They're kind of like a quirky, like they're an entertaining character, but I think they're not. People are probably not going to like them very much.
Well, hopefully, if that was your intention, that's exactly what is going to happen. That's
Yeah.
that's that's yeah, that's what we want. So, is there like an underlying theme, like a deeper underlying theme to the story beyond just the thrills and the horror and the creepy and all of that?
Yeah, I would hope so, and I hope it comes across. I think there's a big element of fate. So there's a lot of Norse and Viking, like Norse paganism is very heavy in this story. A lot of the characters, I didn't make it a fantastical element because the idea is that the characters were brought there, like they're descendants of of people from our history that were taken into space and used to seed other planets. And so it was kind of like their Viking, their Norse religion developed through millennia on these external planets. And so the idea that weird is, or fate is still a big thing for them. And so part of the theme is you kind of know what your mission is. Like Valya comes to realize like, I have to do this. But this is what's going to happen to me. Like if I do this. So it's a heavy thing of facing your fate, I guess, like the Norse concept of weird, of when you're confronted with it, do you back off, or do you do the thing, even though it's very scary?
Mm. That's a good underlying concept, yeah, because we'll all end up in a situation where we're gonna have to make a decision, and
Yeah.
that decision could, ultimately change the rest of our lives and somebody else's
Absolutely.
life too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big thing on like how your choices ripple outwards. So no matter what happens, unfortunately, we all pass away, so it's what do you do in the meantime? Like what do you do in the middle? Like do you kind of sit back and sit in your fear and not do anything? Or do you be brave and go forward and allow hopefully your choices to ripple outward, because they're going to ripple either way. It just depends on like what you choose to do.
Okay. Well, what advice do you have for the page turners out there who have this, magnificent story floating around in their head, and maybe they only got a little bit of it out, and they don't really know what to
Yeah.
do with it next? What advice would you give them to go ahead and just get it done and share it with the
Yeah.
world?
Yeah, I would say be true to yourself, like tell the story that you want to tell, and all that marketability, like all that sort of thing is something that your developmental editor can kind of help you work through, but you need to get that draft out first, and then I always feel like I forget who initially said it, but so it's a quote that I'm borrowing, is that the first draft is you telling the story to yourself. And so you get it all out. You can replot it, you can redo it later, it's going to be edited once you query it, anyway. So it just get it, just commit to it, it can't be edited if it's not written, so that's the most important thing, I think. And tell the story that you want to tell, like tell a story that you would want to read, because there's probably someone else out there with the same thought of like, oh, I love a story like this or like that, and so there's other people that would probably feel the same. And I think if you're passionate about what you write and you enjoyed the process, then someone else is going to feel that as they're reading. So I think enjoyment and writing for that, the person inside of you, is the most important thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. So I'm glad that you took the time and to hire a developmental editor. So just for all you all who are watching and don't know, there's different stages and different types of editing. The developmental editor would be the type of editor that you would hire to help you figure out the holes in your story and identify what's missing, and give you tips and advice on what you can do to improve the story and make it flow better, so you can go back to the drawing board and fill in the gaps. That's what the developmental editor is for. So that would be the first one that you would seek out if you felt the need to, that your story was missing something, and you or to even find out that your story is missing something, because you might write it and think it's all together, and then when second sighted eyes gets on it, it's not as together as you originally thought it was.
Yeah, because so much of it exists, in our head, right? Like sometimes it's hard to say, like someone that's not privy to all these details in here is going to pick up when they're reading it. You want to make sure that that's translatable on the page. And if you spend all the time on prose edits, but then it's developmentally edited, all that's going to, be torn up and kind of restructured anyway.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. You just gotta be prepared. You gotta be prepared, page turners. You gotta be prepared and open to feedback, because that's going to be the most important deciding factor in whether or not your book is going to be received well by the readers. You gotta have feedback. You gotta have somebody else's eyes on your story so they can tell you what you did not see.
Absolutely.
Yes. Let's just pull up your cover one more time here. What is the concept behind this cover?
So it's kind of taken from a literal instance in the story where, without spoiling too much, they find a mechanical eye kind of embedded in the wall of this ship. But also, because it's Norse themed, there's the mythological story of Odin trading his eye for wisdom. So that motif kind of keeps coming up throughout the story of eyes, or like somebody having only one eye, or things like that.
Cool. Well, let the page turners know where they can purchase Devour.
So they can purchase Devour locally in stores at the Right Cup Cafe, at Emporia, and Heroes Beacon. They can also find it on Amazon, and we just went wide on Drafted Digital as well. So all the distributors through Drafted Digital as well.
Awesome, awesome. So that's
Yeah.
basically where books are sold, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes, and tell us where we can find you on social media.
So I can be found on Facebook as Double Check Publishing. I can be found on Instagram through Double Check Publishing, as well as Mandie Writes Fiction, and I'm on Threads as Mandie Writes Fiction as well.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
Yes, you
yeah,
always want to be in multiple places because, like,
yeah,
tell everybody, everybody is not everywhere, but everybody is somewhere. So if
yeah,
you spread yourself far and wide, it's possible that you might get in front of everybody's face, but you ain't gonna get in everybody's face on one platform or just two
yep,
platforms. You gotta spread it out, spread it out.
yep,
You never know. You never know when you know come on writers with purpose. You never know when your episode might just happen to pop up on somebody's feed or pop up on somebody's TV while they're
yeah,
watching you or Rumble or something. You never know. You never know. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and make yourself seen and heard and
yep,
share all the glorious details about your work because you took the time to write it and put it together
yep,
and publish it. And you definitely want to make sure that the right person gets to read it. All right.
absolutely.
Yes. Well, is there anything else that you would like to tell our audience? I'm sorry, I'm not going to call y'all the audience anymore. Our page turners before we leave today.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would say, like, I hope they enjoy the story and leave a review if they like it, ideally. And I hope that if there's any writers out there, that they continue writing because I think everybody has a story and their voice deserves to be heard. So, and nobody can read it if you don't write it. So just keep on going.
That's right. That's excellent. Nobody can
Yep.
read it if you don't write it. So,
Yeah.
all you page turners out there, we are going to see you all on the next episode of Writers with Purpose. And in the meantime, y'all keep writing, keep reading, keep turning those pages. All right.
Yeah.
Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
Bye.